Hey everyone, I'm Steve, and this is Base Reality. And today's episode is about don't take the ego's bait. And what that basically means is there's two kind of general stories that we tell ourselves in this world. And because we're creators, those stories that we tell, especially if they're very passionate stories, go out and create our life, create our health, create our wealth, create our happiness, and also create the types of people we see and the circumstances that we run into in the world. And there's as we've mentioned before in this YouTube channel and on our other platforms, that there is a frequency war going on. There's basically what you would call a spiritual battle. So in this duality realm, you have some people that choose more of the dark side of things, and people that choose the light side of things. And it's allowed. That's what this ego's playground is all about. It's allowed for souls to the prodigal son to kind of leave home and then experiment, play with utter creativity. That means disaster, suffering, pain, fear, all of that stuff is allowed down here. Now, it's not real. It's like being in a theater where you get up on stage and you pretend like you stab each other or you hurt each other, or you yell, and then you celebrate and you have fun. And it's all on stage, but when you leave the stage, you take your costumes back off and you go back into the real world. And same thing down here is after you're done with this matrix, this illusion, the things that you learn are real, certainly. And the experiences that you have are all real. But death, all of that stuff, suffering, all of that stuff, once you reemerge back into non-physical, none of that stuff really matters. All of that stuff gets pulled off. There's no stain. You can't change what God changed. So when God created you perfect. And that's basically what Judgment Day is when you return back to your perfection. Because God never changes his mind. God, when he created you, if you could see when I had my crossover experience, God is just, he nails it every single time. It's perfect, 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 perfect. And so it's us that seem to now suddenly go through this self-loathing. Oh, I'm broken. I'm a loser. I'm unworthy. All of that stuff. And Judgment Day is really us just returning back to to God's judgment, to our perfection. And so down here, there's a kind of a battle going on. It's a silly battle. It'll eventually uh, peter out. And I think um, a big part of it is actually dissolving right now. So that's what you're seeing right now is you're seeing a big harvest going on. And this is where one grand cycle moves into another grand cycle. And so those people that are wanting to ascend, that are wanting to go into a higher version of Earth can do so. And so, but there's a lot of temptation being pushed out because the dark energies, they still want to keep pushing their agenda. They want you to keep parting with them, so to speak. And by parting with them, it means kind of they want to continue controlling you and harvesting your energy and doing all of this other kind of creepy stuff. And so that's why you're seeing an explosion of it right now is because they know there's a harvest. And so there's this temptation to really see, does the soul really want to move on? Does it want to stay behind and play? And either way, it doesn't matter. It's not a punishment if you stay behind. It just means, hey, I just want to go through this experience a little bit more. I want to understand it a little bit more and I want to grow from it. And so all roads lead home. But the key here is when you don't take the ego's bait is there's a lot of information coming out, especially in social media, the regular media that constantly says, the world is this way. Oh, there's going to be another pandemic. There's going to be there's going to be a cyber security issue. There's going to be financial collapse. There's going to be all this. And so all they're doing is just telling stories. They're just putting out ideas. They're just putting out energetic thought forms. That's all they are. It's not reality. Reality is just when you believe that thought form and then you go into the experience, the quantum experience, that timeline to go through it. And then it seems like, oh, it's real. But the quantum field includes every possibility and potentiality that's out there. So there's really no like right or wrong. It's just what do you want to do? It's like being at a huge park. Do you want to go on this slide? Do you want to go on this slide? And do you want to go on this ride? And they're all going to have different experiences. So just because you went on this slide doesn't mean you're evil, or you went on this slide, it means you're good. Now, you go on maybe the water slide that doesn't have a lot of water in it, and you get rubbed raw as you're going down, and you're like, I don't know if I want that experience again. But that experience was valuable. You learn from it. And then you decide, oh, I don't want to go to that anymore. I want to go over here to this slide where there's plenty of water going down, and I don't fall out of the slide and land on the concrete, such and such. So that's sort of what is playing out here. So lots of games. So when you don't take the ego's bait, you don't look at the news and say, oh no, this is coming. Oh no, this is what's going to come. Why? It's just like sticky notes all over a fridge where it says, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. It really doesn't matter. It matters what you believe. So go within yourself and start to decide what kind of life you want. What kind of, and the two scientific, and I'll do another video on this, but the two scientific ways to manifest is through the intention to actually see it, to visualize this reality occurring. And then the second one is feeling the gratitude and appreciation that you're in that quantum state now. And so just start as you're going around your world, start telling yourself new stories. And Abraham Hicks talks about this called segment intention. So each time you go through, like say you're going to drive to the store. So a segment would be you driving to the store. So as you're getting in your car, you simply say, I'm going to have a good drive here. My car is going to work amazingly. I'm going to just flow through traffic. I'm going to get right to the store. And then you set that intention. You get into that frequency. You visualize it. You feel it. And then you get to the store and magically nothing major happens. And then as you're getting out, then you go to the next segment. You say, I know they're going to have, the stuff I need. And if I don't, I'll find a great alternative. It's going to be cool people in here, good people. I'm so grateful for all the groceries that are in here. I'm so grateful for my health. I just love coming to the store. I'm so thankful that I don't have to wait in line in some of these, poor countries or whatever to try to struggle, or there's not a famine or any of that stuff. Just really focus on that gratitude. And then when you go in there, you're probably going to have an amazing experience because it's all about frequency. It's all about intention. It's all about the feeling. And so then you go through, you get your groceries, and then same thing when you're just getting back in your car to say, man, I'm going to have a great drive home. And same thing. And once you get used to this, you'll start to, it won't really be such a process because initially it may feel like it's kind of a lot to do. But once you get into the flow, you'll just start to just get into this where it just takes like a couple seconds. You just feel the feeling of it. And then you start to chain them together and you just start to go through your world. And same thing whenever you're seeing things on like TikTok or social media where it shows like crazy people, and then you start worrying, oh, am I going to run into a crazy person, a violent person? Am I going to run into... And again, just start to reject that. These are just sticky notes that the dark side is putting out. So you just put in your own sticky notes and just say, you know what? I see a beautiful world. I see good people. I see loving. And again, this is the observer effect. This is science. This is quantum field. So the thought experiment of Schrodinger and Schrodinger's cat, where they talk about, the cat's either dead or alive in the box. And the idea was that as the observer, you're the one that's deciding which quantum state you're going to go into based on where you are, where your quantum state is, where your frequency is. So based on your frequency, when you open the box, either the cat's alive or the cat's dead. But both quantum states exist at the same time. And it's just showing two, but there's actually billions of these in each moment. And I know that boggles the mind to think billions in each moment. And a moment is, I guess, about 10 seconds. That's where I kind of think about it. But you have incredible, and technically you're not going to need to think about like those kind of details, but you can think of it in like 2 or 3 different paths that you want to go to. But as you fine tune it, you can really start to get into more of a spectrum of some of these states. But a lot of these states, the billions, is really for like all the millions of chemical processes that are going on in your body every second. So, I mean, that's also part of it. So there's a lot going on in your world, but what you really need to be focused on is just a couple. So when you start going out into the world, just say, I'm going to meet beautiful people. And if you feel like, well, I don't know if I feel worthy, then start going in and start doing affirmations. Start saying, I am worthy. Start looking at your past, look at your history. Why don't you feel worthy? Why don't you feel deserving? Why don't you feel like you're enough? And start kind of going through and healing these and taking these negative stories that you have in your mind and converting them to positive stories. Say, I learned from this. I grew from this. I'm not that person anymore. I can do this. And as you start to love yourself, as you start to heal yourself, you'll start to be able to love and extend that compassion and grace and dignity to other people. But the point is you're in a constant crossroads. You're in a constant nexus all the time where you're deciding what you want to do, what you want to do, what you want to do, what you want to experience, who you want to see, how you want the world to turn out, how do you want your body to feel, how do you want your life to feel, how do you want your spouse to treat you, how do you want your partner to treat you. And so all of these are really coming from you. And as you raise your state into a state of higher emotions like gratitude, love, kindness, compassion, all of that stuff, and especially to yourself, you're going to pulse that out. And because, the local reality your experience is just an extension of yourself, then as you start to pulse that out, you'll just constantly get these boomerangs back, because that's all it is. You're just constantly throwing boomerangs out. What do I believe? What do I believe? And so right now, because of this shift, these boomerangs are starting to come back faster. And it's really because of the awakening. And as you start to awaken, you start to remember your power. Time was a trick because you throw the boomerang out, it wouldn't come back for a while, and you'd forget it was you. So time was part of the deception. And so now as time's collapsing, you're starting to see these boomerangs come back, and you're starting to see a lot of people online starting to realize, man, I'm creating this, I'm doing this. And a lot of people that are blaming and shaming other people are suddenly stopping and saying, I think I'm part of the problem. And you're starting to see a big shift. It's pretty exciting. So just decide the stories that you want to tell, and you'll get it, because you're a creator. You are a master creator. That's just forgotten that you're a magician, that you're a wizard. And so just start telling yourself stories as much as you can throughout the day. And if you fall off, don't worry about it. I still do. And just keep going on and just saying, I can do this. And even if you fall off, I can get back on. I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger. And just believe in yourself, because the almighty energy that creates universes and everything truly believes in you. And when he believes in something, it is done. I love you all. Take care. Thank you.